Everybody's listening, right? Hi, Andy.
Hello.
Is anyone out there in this world listening?
They are, and maybe my favorite review of all time.
What?
This is on Spotify from Elizabeth. Great name.
Great name.
I listen to other podcasts at 1.25 speed. When y'all come on and I still have it set to that, I never move faster to reset to normal speed. I need my full hour of Elizabeth and Andy.
Oh my God. That means so much.
It's got everything I like, a little techie dorkiness.
Yeah.
Some genuine praise, if I will, which we love. And it's just sweet.
You don't think it's just because my voice at a faster speed sounds like... I have
Honestly,
that voice
I
that can tip
hadn't
into...
thought that,
yeah.
But I gotta say that's a pretty compelling argument.
Wait,
people are slowing us down, actually.
How did that one reviewer back in the day describe my voice, like a drowning turtle? Or
No, that wouldn't make sense. Turtles don't have cute little voices like you.
Well, that's very sweet. I really want to find this review. It really made me laugh. It was so mean.
There's no way you are going to be able to find it. What are you doing right now? There's thousands of reviews.
No, I
saved it?
I screenshot it and saved it. Oh my gosh.
Do you have like a note file of just like, it's like take me down a peg or two on days that you're floating too high that you can kind of go into and read?
Trust that I don't need, wow, I found this quickly. I don't need,
you don't need
take
that?
me down a peg or two. I'm already, my baseline is.
Let me bring you back to earth then right now.
Here we go.
Okay.
Worst Earwolf podcast. So this was back on, I think, Totally Lame.
Listen, we were just getting our footing, figuring it out.
Abysmal. A massive misfire on the part of Earwolf, where we used to be living or whatever.
Yeah.
Lame is an uncharismatic... I do like that this person I'm going to assume was a male. He called me lame.
Okay.
Lame is an uncharismatic, incompetent interviewer who sounds like a cartoon baby turtle who wants to hide in its shell. Her directionless interview style and starstruck demeanor reminds me of the Chris Farley show. That's fun.
Yeah.
A cartoon baby turtle who wants to hide in its shell.
So that wasn't specific to your voice.
Yes.
It was.
Sounds like, yeah. I think it
sounds like?
Didn't it say her voice? Who sounds like a cartoon. I think that's referring to my voice.
I think there's been other reviews that have really more specifically talked about your voice and its tone.
Well, now I'm gonna, my voice, I have such a complicated relationship with my voice. But as we all know, I was pursuing voiceover work at one point in time. Gosh, sliding doors. You wonder what would have happened. Anyway, very long story short, I linked up with the wrong voiceover coach in New York City back in the day who led me down a path that wasn't really for my benefit. And I paid him a lot of money. And ultimately, you can look this up. There's a CNN article about it. Ultimately, he was like grooming me to kind of assault me. And he did that to lots of people. But out the gate, he told me in like our first session.
Yeah.
Sex is what sells. No matter what your voice sounds like, as a woman, you need to have this sexy sounding voice, which is hilarious because that's not true. And obviously, my voice is not selling like Dove chocolate or whatever.
Hey, we recently had a review that was saying how sexy your voice was. Don't discount the sexiness of your intonation.
Well, I feel like that was very nice. I feel like it's sexy in the sense that it's not. Does that make sense?
I don't think you should get too in the weeds or in your head about this.
I'm getting to, this is such a long way of getting to, even despite that situation with the voiceover coach, because after this horrible incident happened where I was locked in a voiceover dark booth with a huge naked bodied man gyrating and stuff, I got out of there, luckily. But I never went back to see him, luckily. But despite that, I still booked some pretty lucrative voiceover jobs.
Yeah, no, I think you have could have a great voiceover
Am I
career.
pivoting right now
You
to
could
a
do
voiceover?
because your voice is on the cusp of like fun, cute voice, but you could do some like superhero kid characters.
Oh, yeah, I bet I could.
You know, like how
if I really trained.
when was the last time you saw Gray Delisle, who is literally like one of the biggest voiceover actors of all time?
I interviewed her for the One Sure Thing
Oh, you did?
podcast.
Great.
I love her.
She's amazing. But so like she can do any voice on the planet.
She can drop into, and it is shocking how incredible.
Crazy. But she's also very good though at those like toy.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah, like those. But like I think you could get into that.
I could find that lane.
Yeah. But let's not pivot now.
Well, I might need to. I might be pivoting if anyone out there is casting a character. I'm just kidding. But anyway, despite my sordid voiceover history, I still, through UCB, I think went in for a few voiceover auditions.
Yeah.
And to my shock and awe, I booked this, what I didn't even realize at the time how big it was, to be the voice of this character on this Coca-Cola animated short film and like commercials. And so then this was, I don't even know if this exists anymore, but it's this really cool, the company does exist. I won't even say who it is or anything, but they had this incredible voiceover recording studio in Santa Monica where you would go in and they had all these different, rooms.
Okay. We don't have to describe the recording studio. It's a recording studio you went to.
Oh, but I don't know. I want you to know about this.
You've told me a bunch of times. You've talked about it.
There was like a full chef's kitchen
Very
that the
cool.
whole thing was built around.
Yeah.
And they would be like, what do you want for lunch? An omelet or whatever. You could just say whatever you wanted and they'd give it to you. It was so fancy. But I went in and I also improvised a lot. So my character's name was Wendy. Unbeknownst to me, this ended up being this film that they played at the Coca-Cola,
was it
museum
Fantasy Factory or Imagination Factory?
Yeah.
Well, we'll clip a bit of it. We'll put it up on Instagram.
And I also got to improvise as this character, and it was really fun, and she was a really fun character, and I loved the people I was working with, Todd and Kylie. So then what happened was, I think that ran for a couple years, and they would keep bringing me in for little spots and stuff.
Sure.
Then I think they did some testing, and it turns out people didn't love my voice, and so they were re-auditioning Wendy. I think my friend Eliza Skinner, I think I connected her with them.
No, didn't you have a session? I thought the story was you had a session.
It was that.
They asked you to help out on sort of co-directing.
Which is funny because Eliza's an incredible improviser. She didn't need my help, but I think because I may have connected her with them. I don't really remember, but she became the voice. And I was sitting in there on this session to help guide, I guess, because I knew what Wendy's kind of style was.
Yeah.
They're on the speakerphone with the Coca-Cola bigwigs in London or somewhere. And the guy says, no, we're leaning a little too close to the old Wendy with that nasal, abrasive, describing my voice in such unflattering terms. And of course, it was a cartoon where one of the people's ran over to be so Wendy 1 is here. It's awkward. So that was another.
But it's not like you were talking normal. You were putting on a little something. We'll put a clip of it so you can hear it.
Yeah, it was really fun.
It's cute.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, look at me. You got a great voice.
Thank you.
People like it.
Okay. Shocking, but great.
I think I have a great voice.
Oh my God. Your voice is so good. And it's been compared to a bunch of really cool celebrities. There was one recently, someone commented that it was something from Ren and Stimpy, which I don't know how you feel about that. But
I didn't miss that. I didn't see that.
A lot of people say that you sound exactly like Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, interesting.
I'd like to get some audio on him. I'm sure we could just
play a movie.
Would you want
to have sex with him? Does he do it for you?
Yeah.
Does he?
And you definitely have a Downey Jr. situation. I'm not surprised. I definitely have a type
Interesting.
in real life. Obviously, we know that,
In your fantasy world, it's
which I talked a lot
old
about on
weirdos.
the deep dive.
Oh,
I was
sweet.
on the deep dive last week, which was so much fun.
It's a podcast.
Great, fantastic chat podcast. If you like our podcast, you'll definitely, I mean, I'm sure everyone knows of it, but with my dear friends June and Jessica, we talked about all of that. So, can we talk? We kind of got into an argument before this, which we worked through and was great.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of the 4 agreements. Do you know what those are?
No. Is this like couples therapy type stuff?
Well, it's not just couples therapy. It's really just life. And I just want to put this out there, honestly, as a reminder to myself, because these are really rules to live by. I think they simplify life so much in a beautiful way. They reduce noise, chatter in people's brains.
Okay.
I think it reduces anxiety. And I feel like I've been hearing a lot of stuff recently that kind of is just a different spin on the 4 agreements, but to help people. 1, be impeccable with your word.
Be impeccable with your word?
Yes. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean.
Okay.
Avoid using words to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Now, that's hard for me.
We wouldn't have a podcast if we couldn't gossip about others.
Use the power of your word to offer love. Never use it to cause fear or pain in another or yourself.
Oh, fuck off.
Okay.
What fun would life be if you can't do any of that stuff? Is this still number 1?
Yes.
Okay.
So the rule is be impeccable with your word. Everything under that is kind of like under that same umbrella.
Okay.
But
you could be impeccable with your word and be a dick if you were telling the truth. To me, be impeccable about your word is like be honest with yourself and speak only honestly. Let there be no gray area like of misinterpretation, and don't bullshit. Don't say things that you don't mean. But if that person cuts me off in their white Tesla and I see them at a coffee shop the next day, I can own it and be like, hey, I saw you yesterday and I think your driving is erratic and I think it's dangerous. And in that moment, I thought you were a piece of shit. Prove me wrong.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, that seems impeccable.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, yes. I'm not worried about us getting like losing our truth due to the 4 agreements.
Okay.
I think it's more of like, just don't be an asshole for the sake of being an asshole. Don't cause people pain because it makes you then feel powerful. Now, it also, what's not here to me is be impeccable with your word also means know your audience.
Okay.
Sometimes, and I struggle with this, you don't have to say everything to everyone.
You definitely don't have to say everything to everyone.
Here's an example. I might be terrified that you're going to die. I'm not going to talk about that terror to someone who's actually lost their husband. Does that make sense?
It does. I really was hoping to throw you under a bus with an example then, and you nailed that example, because in any other example that you would have given, you do that. Like, that's part of your charm is people you just meet that you can be like, I'm worried he's going to die. Haha. Like, both of my parents are dead. Haha.
Right. Even though I have like kind of a history to justify my fear.
Right.
It's very different. Or I'm not going to complain about having a headache to someone whose child is going through cancer treatment. You don't go on about. That's one example. And
it's great.
Also, oversharing. I really struggle with this.
Well, that's kind of what I was getting into, but I'm saying you're really good at it. And it's also charming to people. I wasn't ready for such a solid, airtight example that you just gave.
Okay.
Let me say examples. The cancer kid one was a great one, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a delicate balance. If someone is really going through the worst, you both don't want to be like, life is fantastic. Oh my gosh, we're going to Disney World. The kids are crushing it. And you also don't want to be like, oh, God, I stepped in dog poop. Whatever it is.
I don't.
Okay.
Can
we go on?
That's not actually the takeaway from be impeccable with your word, I don't think, by the way.
No, but I was saying, as you were saying, there are ways to interpret this.
Uh-huh.
I was saying, I'd like to think about that as well.
Yeah.
Know your audience.
That's nice.
Number 2, don't take anything personally.
Yes.
Nothing others, this is such an important one. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a result of their own dream or perception of their rules.
Mm-hmm.
We all make rules about how things should be, but when you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering.
Say that one more time.
We all make the whole thing?
Please.
Okay. Don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a result of their own dream or perception of their rules. We all make rules about how things should be, but when you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering.
Just the last part, when you're immune
to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. Now, recently, and I forget what self-help guru online Instagram person was saying this, but this idea of let them, which is like, if a friend doesn't invite you to their party, let them. If, all of these situations.
That doesn't feel good on me at all.
To
let them.
But it's
like you're trying to own that you didn't get invited.
No, it's like, let them do their thing. It's kind of this. Don't take it personally. That's their own shit. When people, if you're upset that, I don't know what the examples are, but
come on, you've been having good examples. Give me one.
Okay. The boss didn't give you the promotion. Let them.
Fuck them.
Okay. Yeah.
Give another one. And also, fuck the lady that didn't invite you to the party if you're bummed not to go to the party.
Okay.
But I guess let them. It is their party.
Someone unfollows you on Instagram. Instead of going into a mental spiral about why, what is it you did, that's this, you're taking the actions of others personally and you're trying to come up with the story.
And you'll never
know.
But what if you do get it right? That's the problem.
That is the problem.
Because you want to know what it is. And what if you do figure it out? And then you know.
That's where the let them comes in. Fine, if that was a reaction to something you did, let them. That's fine. But I do think don't take things personally is very hard for us and our egos, because I think a big part of this is no one is thinking about you. No one cares about you.
Yeah. I love that. No one gives a shit.
No one gives a shit. You are so self-centered and wrapped up in your own shit to think that other people are thinking about you.
Yeah.
So that's great. Okay. Next. Don't make assumptions. You know what they say about assuming.
Yeah.
What?
It's so dumb. Just do it. Get it over with.
You do it.
No.
You're making an ass out of you and me. Okay. Don't make assumptions. Find the quiet courage. Love that. To ask.
This person who ever wrote this has no friends.
Find the quiet courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. With just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life.
Do it again.
Don't make assumptions.
Right.
Now, these are all tied together.
Well, yeah, but we'll do this one again. I need to hear them twice to soak it in.
Find the quiet courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. I think questions clarifying.
Yeah.
Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. With just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life.
Love it.
Now, in the example of the Instagram unfollow, you're making assumptions and taking things personally.
But, okay, if you're letting them, okay, does that mean that you can't then, when you see them in person, be like, hey, I noticed that you unfollowed me on Instagram. Could you let me know why you did that? Are you not allowed to do that? Because that's, I don't want to make an assumption, but I am curious. Could you like let me know so I'm not making an assumption?
Well,
So I
I
just
think
know.
there is an implicit assumption in there, which is because you are taking it personally if you're doing the follow-up, hey, why?
No, but I'm saying you bump into this person in a party.
Yeah, I know. But I'm also like, you're making an assumption that it was for some reason, or it's going to be enlightening to you, or you're making the assumption that they intentionally were thinking about you and were like, I no longer like this person, unfollow.
But if the person did ask you, then the other person would have to be impeccable with their word and tell you the truth.
Well, no, everyone isn't playing by these rules.
But if everyone was, because then if you're not impeccable, then you're giving false information potentially because you don't want to hurt the person's feelings.
The whole point of these is that you're navigating a world where no one else is playing by these rules. You can't make the assumption. And by the way, don't you think, I know it's hard to do emotionally, and trust me, I've been there. Actually, recently I was there with someone who unfollowed me. I have no fucking idea why. And I was
I think I figured it out, actually.
Are you serious?
Yeah. We can talk about it later.
Okay.
I'm just fucking with you. I'm just pointing out how dumb this is.
Okay. But, well, my brain was spinning because I was like, how?
You got
fucking
so
on
like,
earth.
Oh, I gotta know.
No, it wasn't. I was like, how on earth would you have figured it out? Because it's so not in your orbit. But here's the thing. Life is lighter and easier if you just don't care.
Are we on 2 or 3?
3.
But 3 is similar because don't make assumptions feels similar to
it's very tied into
them.
Don't take. Yeah, I brought in let them, and I think
I wish you would have bring in let them.
I really.
But let them was a correlation to number 2, right?
Don't take anything personally. Yes.
You should have saved let them for 3, or let them kind of bridges 2 and 3.
Sure. Okay. Lastly, I love this.
Mm-hmm.
Always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstance, simply do your best, and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret.
Great. Do you think, let me ask you this. Do you like Jimmy Kimmel?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Although in his past, he's done blackface, he's fat shamed, he was on The Man Show, did a lot of things that were really chauvinistic.
I didn't know all that.
But how do you feel about him now then? Or are you like, a person can grow and their values can change and what he puts out to the world? Like,
yeah, I do feel that way. And I think he's put a lot of positive out to the world. It's interesting because we were watching the Daily Show. Oh, wait, no. What show were we watching? About Elon Musk. An old
John Oliver show.
John Oliver. Where someone was talking about they think that Elon Musk is a net positive for the earth or for humanity. Sure. Now, I don't know if they still think this, but back then, because of all of the strides he's made in electric vehicles and offsetting carbon emissions. And then they said, when you look at someone and you say net positive, it tends to then just like wipe away all the negative and make you feel like you can't point out the negative and can't hold them accountable for that. Right. But we must. So I'm sure that Jimmy Kimmel has, I hope, acknowledged if he's done blackface in the past and that's public and has grown and learned from that and in a way that like I doubt Elon Musk has, well, I know he hasn't, for his anti-Semitic bullshit and whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in that sense, I think Jimmy Kimmel is a major net positive. I really, I think highly of him.
Great.
Even though he made mistakes. Listen,
well, it gets in a dicey thing when it comes to comedy, too, because comedy is this other thing that what's funny.
You wouldn't believe how big of a misogynist I was. Sure. I think back in the UCB days, I've like gone back and looked at some of the sketches and I'm like, oh my God, so sexist against myself. And I think, I can say it was because I was like trying to fit into a boys club, but like talk about, like fat shaming, bimbo shaming, all of it. I was like, So we all make mistakes, and for some of us, it's very public.
Yeah.
And there's a record.
Right.
And for some of us,
Yeah,
luckily
being
for
in,
me, not.
being in comedy is like a moving target, has so much to do with culture,
Yeah.
subjectivity, and all this stuff. Let's take someone that, say, like, for all of the 90s and 2000s was like stealing from senior citizens. Okay.
Woof.
Their life savings.
Okay.
And then like
That's very
then they
different.
have like a come to Jesus moment. And like now they have a charity to help senior citizens. And it's like they're like the Michael Vick of like, because Michael Vick did all that horrible stuff with dog stuff, right?
Yeah.
But then did he then at least try to make amends or no?
I don't remember, but whatever it was that he did, that doesn't count because he got caught publicly and that affected his life. And if this is someone who publicly got, like, let's say, well, I don't want to disparage anyone, but like
Make up something then.
some famous person, they're like, oh, look we found his police record and he actually had scams stealing from senior citizens. And then that person is like, I did make mistakes in my past, but I'm starting a foundation that will be giving back. Like, okay, good for you, but it's all
That's
PR.
like you're doing it. Yeah,
and
yeah.
Michael Vick was
right.
bullshit PR.
Let's use Michael Vick as an example that I have no idea how that shook out now, but let's just, in this hypothetical version, that horrible thing happens.
And for
horrible
anyone
PR,
who doesn't know, he was doing like horrific
dogfighting
rings, which is
It's
one
horrible.
of the most heinous things. It's horrible.
But let's say move on 20 years, and let's not even use Michael Vick. It's someone like Michael Vick, okay? Because I don't.
Chris Brown.
Who knows? Oh, God, we might have to circle back to that. That's really tricky.
Well, I was thinking about that
let's
the other day.
Hold on.
Okay.
I want to circle back to that.
Okay.
Okay. But let's say fast forward 20, 30 years, and this Michael Vick-like guy literally has built the biggest like dog rescue foundation in the world.
Oh, yeah.
That could potentially be meaningful, even if his initial intentions of pivoting were like the PR of it all.
Yeah.
But if he stuck with it and then this organization I think you could point out like that's someone that learned something here.
Yes, I think so.
But yeah, it's tricky. Let me tell you this.
But I do think this is horrible because, I mean, you can argue objectively it's a weird thing to compare, but someone who's scamming senior citizens is so horrible and it affects their lives in a horrific way and could shorten lives, I'm sure, and take lives, and like there are real effects from that, like life and death.
Yeah.
There is something different between doing that but not seeing the real effects play out versus doing dog fighting rings and like baiting dogs to fight with other dogs and like literally watching and enjoying dogs rip apart innocent little, in that I'm like, Michael Vick, great if there's a positive to come out of this horrible thing. But I wouldn't.
Such a weird conversation.
We're from the Four Agreements. But I would always look at him and go, there's some to be able to have done that at any point in your life. Yeah. I hope you have grown and learned and are horrified by what you did. But like, I'm also like, there's some dark shit in there. If you could have been that person or one of the people watching and delighting in that. Okay.
I actually want to go on the record saying I think they're both equally as bad, the stealing from senior citizens and the dog
well, yes,
thing.
I'm
No, you kind of leaned one way. You were like, because you're not seeing the effects of the senior citizen stuff afterwards.
Hear me now. Yes, I both are terrible, bad.
But you're saying one's worse than the other.
No, I'm saying one requires a darkness and like evil in you that the other, I'm like, I don't, that the darkness and evil in you that I'm just like, I don't know if you can fully shake that as a human being, you know?
So you're saying different parts of the different seat assignments on the plane to hell for these people.
Yeah.
Really? See,
Mm-hmm.
I think they could be put next to each other.
Do you not see, though, what I'm saying? There is a difference.
No, okay. There. I
Do
think
you
I know.
not see?
I know the point you're trying to make,
Yeah.
but I think they're equally bad.
Okay. Okay. Always do your best is the last one. And I love that because it gives you a pass. Like yesterday, my best was I watched a very funny movie, Trainwreck.
Mm.
They don't make them like they used to.
Okay, let's not get too sidetracked with that.
Anyway, I was thinking about Chris Brown recently and just what a fucking piece of shit he is.
Listen.
And how
he's continued to have this career. Listen, I know a lot of people that have worked on those projects, and I just don't understand it. But that's all I got to say. I'm not going to get more into that. But
I know.
Every time I see someone I know that like posts like, you know, whatever, had some whatever. I just
our
don't
culture does not give a fucking shit about women.
Yeah.
You know, it's fine. Is the idea. Like, well, let's separate the artist from the fucking wife beater, abuser, who also then went on to do some weird dog shit and breeding and, you know, all that stuff. Yikes. Okay. Can we talk about...
I'm available, though, if they're making a new album.
You can produce the shit out of... So I wanted to just really quick, I think that our nobodies will get a kick out of this. Something happened recently. So last week's episode, we talked extensively about animal dicks. And...
Oh, I had a quick follow-up before you get into this. This is like very quick. Someone pointed out, and you might have been, I might have just missed this. This might have gone over my head.
Mm-hmm.
Gonads, my takeaway was that gonads are the same as ovaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was my takeaway. That's not the right way to say that. Ovaries and testes are both gonads.
How is... I don't know the difference between testes and gonads.
Their testes are gonads. Ovaries are gonads. I didn't know that gonads was the word for both testicles and for ovaries.
Okay.
I always thought gonads were just testicles. But they are, but they're also ovaries.
Okay.
Were you on that same page last week or not necessarily?
Well, yes, I guess so, but...
I don't think you were now.
Okay. This is going to blow your mind. I'm going to show you something. Nobody sent me this and I really appreciate it, which was, it's not as graphic as what I'm about to show you, but it was basically that the way we see the uterus, you can imagine it, the picture we see, and it kind of looks like, I don't even know how you describe that. Like there's a uterus and the vaginal canal, and then the ovaries are like
two upside down balls in there now.
Well,
that's how I think of them
no,
now.
they look like giraffe ears coming off a giraffe head. Okay, right? That's how we think of and see.
Yeah.
Okay, how the uterus really looks in a woman's body.
It's not like the diagram?
No, those are hanging down. So this is the uterus. Those are the ovaries. They hang like balls.
Wait, show me again. Where are the balls?
That one's kind of cut off.
God.
But, well, why? I mean, it looks very similar to what you have.
But this is the inside of a body. I'm not even like grossed out that it's like those parts. It's just any parts.
Like, see, it's like hanging down.
I do not want to look at that. Why are you excited to look at that so much?
I think that it's so interesting that we've kind of, I never saw this. I never knew it. It does look like it's this kind of sack with testicles hanging down off of it, connected by
gonads.
Fallopian tubes.
Those are the gonads.
Okay. But what the funny thing that happened, which I wanted to say, was that to make the video last week that's on our Instagram page at Nobody's Listening Right,
Yeah.
you made this whole, like, detective red string wall.
Sure.
And it apparently required you to make 2 large Post-it notes with writing in red that said weird animal penises. Or penis.
Yeah,
weird
I should
animal.
have said penises, but it said penis.
So, fucking God knows why.
Listen, there's a lot of stock footage out there, but I couldn't find a Post-it note that said weird animal penis, so I had to make my own.
I know why you made your own. I'm saying God knows why what I'm about to say. You thought it would make sense to throw them like face up in our recycling bin, which is just like an open, it's in a drawer in our kitchen that you open. And of course, our 9-year-old goes in and she literally picks it up from the top. It's resting on the top and is looking at it. And I walk in and you're like loading the dishwasher or something. And she's looking at it and I'm like, what the fuck? And then she goes, what is this? And you go, oh, it's something for the podcast. And she goes, why? And then you go, Elizabeth, mommy can explain it. And then I was like, oh, we were talking about something on the podcast, but it was very kind of like about, it's really interesting how things have different penises. And like, you were like, it was like Nat Geo. And you and I are twisting ourselves in knots trying to make sense of this for her. And then she goes, oh, I thought it said pens. Weird animal pens.
So we literally fucked ourselves 2 times.
That was fun.
Yeah.
It did make me think a little bit, though. You're always like really careful about like porn and stuff because that felt a little reckless.
Yeah, I am. And I'm not watching as much porn anymore.
I love that. How come?
I don't know why that's annoying to me.
I'm sorry.
I don't know why. It's not like that. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. And do you like that?
I think I feel better in general. I think it's a net positive.
It's a healthy.
Yeah,
move.
I haven't extinguished it from my life. But
so it's like twice a day now.
Less porn.
Just kidding.
Less porn and but yeah, I'm very careful about that.
Okay.
I use a private browser.
But that you like close out. And this is another thing I've been meaning to tell you because when you have artists over, they go in our house to use the bathroom and stuff like that.
I got to take those posters down.
No, 2 things. One is try to always keep the closet closed because it looks, you know that.
Mm-hmm.
The other is you have a little thing of Lubriderm on your bedside table because you like to moisturize at night. Please always put that in a drawer because the only thing I think of, and I know I'm a little pervy, but like if
the jack-off station.
Yes.
There's not a box of tissues next to it. To me,
it doesn't matter.
It's a big difference. I think if you see lotion, you're like, that could be a jack-off station. If you see lotion in a box of Kleenex, that's a jack-off station.
Okay, well, can I tell you, do you, when you have young female artists walking in and out of your room, do you need them to go, oh no, ew, and then oh wait, there's no tissue, it's fine. Like, why don't you just pop it in the drawer?
I know. The only reason it's on my bedside table is these hands are dry.
I know.
And
I know.
It's less friction for me to remember to do it there, but you make a good point.
Well, maybe you explain that at the beginning of every new session.
No,
you
that seems real creepy.
Just obviously. There's an easy fix here. It's one motion.
I think that easy.
Open drawer, it literally takes a second.
But then I have a thing of lotion in my drawer.
This feels like the private browser conversation all over again.
The lotion in the drawer, that does seem like a jack-off station. Hey, by the way, I would never use any of that lotion for anything like that.
Why?
Gross. I don't know.
Okay. That wouldn't gross me out all that much.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't gross you
I
out.
use it. Okay.
Shout out Sarah Bay.
I don't really like CeraVe. I prefer Lubriderm.
Shout out Lubriderm. That's actually what it is.
Yeah. We said last week we were going to talk about love on the spectrum, and I was like, it's actually controversial.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to know why that is.
Well,
set it up what it is in case nobody knows.
Are we in season 3?
No, I think we're in season 2 of the American version, but it started as an Australian version. So there might be, we've definitely seen one season of that. There's 2 to 4 seasons available depending on the country.
Okay. So the premise is it's like a docu-series following a handful of adults who are on the spectrum, who have autism and are trying to find love. I mean, that's basically it. So it's, it's hard enough as adults who aren't neurodivergent, but I think that people with autism have extra hurdles. And it's also, well, we can get into why we love this show. I think the controversy, and actually, I don't even know if I feel like it existed when this show started in the United States. I heard a little rumbling about it, and I haven't really heard much else, so maybe it kind of came and went.
Mm-hmm.
But is that it could feel a little exploitative and almost like in the wrong hands, people are watching it making fun of these people, or like, it's giving a behind the curtain look at someone's life. And also the whole point of it is like people being vulnerable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a vulnerable population to begin with. And so that basically, I think that was the controversy, which is like
in that, like, it being exploitative and maybe some of the subjects like didn't understand that, maybe.
Well, that's where I'm like, I think the counter to that controversy is you're then treating these adults like they don't have their own agency. They all agreed to this. They're like very smart, understanding adults. And so even the premise that you're saying is an issue is offensive.
Yeah.
Anyway, we love this show, but I think, of course, people with autism in this society that isn't really that understanding and accepting of neurodiversity have extra challenges.
Yeah.
And particularly, it often can be in social situations, which dating, I mean, one thing I love about this show is it takes me back to those first, like, romantic encounters or dates and the, like, kind of sweaty, fumbly, innocent sweetness about it, but also, like, those feelings of, like, butterflies and all of that stuff. I also love that it does hopefully connect people with these awesome, adults with autism, and helps give a better understanding of what autism is and, how it affects people and also all the awesome stuff it brings to the table, because so many of these adults on this show, you just fall in love with them.
What's interesting about the show is I do think it doesn't feel exploitative to me. The director and producer behind it, who you never see, but you hear, and I feel like we can just assume is kind of guiding the ship, I think does a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
And I like, from what I hear, the way that he interacts with all the subjects.
Mm-hmm.
And also I think they do a good job that it's almost a blanket statement. All of the families of the subjects seem like pretty good families. Like everybody involved in this project seems legit. Obviously, everyone's putting their best face forward when the cameras show up, I'm sure, and they're editing it and all that. But
but also I do think that one of the beautiful things about many of these adults is there's not the filter that, like, many of us have where you are kind of putting on airs.
Yeah.
It's like they are saying things as they are. Things can be very literal or real. So I feel like it's pretty easy to say that you can get a sense of the relationships authentically versus
Yeah.
if you're going to a neurotypical family who are all like happy sunshine and then the doors close and the husband's like, you bitch, whatever. I don't. Anyway, that is to say, I think it's fair that we have a pretty accurate sense of the relationships in the families.
Yeah.
And they all seem really positive.
But it is so heartwarming. All these people are so likable in the show. Oh God, it just warms the heart. It's such a good show. And I think it's a net positive because I think it's also very educational for the viewership of like to see all these different people on the spectrum and what that's like for them. I think it's really cool.
I do too.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you said I love you to someone?
I think like when I was real young, I think maybe in a note.
No,
That
that's not
count.
what I'm talking about.
I wonder if I told Buffy Mandillo I loved her.
Oh.
Like a fifth grade crush.
Yeah, that was young. I mean like real.
Oh, for real. I probably said it in high school, but I don't have this core memory. Are you like, do you have a core memory?
No, actually. So weirdly, my core memory was when it didn't happen.
Okay.
Where I thought it was coming and then it didn't. And I think that then it happened like pretty soon after that.
Okay.
But I remember like this was my high school boyfriend. We were kind of snuggled up on the couch and I could hear his heart beating.
Yeah.
Like so loud and like feel it that I was
wow.
He's nervous for some reason. What's he about to say?
Had nothing to do with what he was going to say, my friend.
Oh, we had already, I think, had sex.
Oh, okay.
Cart before the horse.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is it. And then it didn't happen. But I don't remember the actual time it happened.
Oh, okay.
With you, I remember it because it took
a while.
fucking months for you to say it. Jesus fucking Christ.
You know how you just said the B word?
Yeah, I love it. I'm bringing it back.
Can I say it once, just in regards to you?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yes, and I give you permission.
Thank you.
I love that.
I didn't know you were a Chex Mix Bitch. I heard from one of our kids the other day. I bought some Chex Mix at Target, little packs, and I heard the other day that you saw it and that your eyes lit up. And they were like, Mom was so excited. I didn't know.
I had no idea it was in our cupboard for days before I knew it. Now, speaking of that era, I mean, when I was sitting on that couch and that heart was beating, I would put money that there was a bowl of Chex Mix on the wooden coffee table right
and
there.
Then making out with Chex Mix breath. Oh, boy. That's something. That's a memory.
Oh, my God. Chex Mix takes me back. And, a lot of people then kind of became so sophisticated and moved on to Gardettos. And it's like, no.
Fuck Gardettos.
Chex Mix? Oh, it's brilliant. Cereal and some like dumb little pretzel sticks and like mixed with this seasoning that I'm sure will cause cancer. It is so good. And I mauled one of those. Like, I think Otis was worried. I was like shaking the dust crumbs into my mouth. There's nothing like it.
Will you just say fuck Gardettos?
Fuck Gardettos.
But like you mean it.
Well, hang on.
No.
I have to drop.
No caveats.
I have to drop in.
Chex Mix forever. Fuck Gardettos.
Yes, I have to drop in to like, I need to set the stage. I'm seeing one of my friends. I offered them Chex Mix and they're like, no thanks. And then Gardettos comes out. And this is a friend who's like started wearing a purse. Like
this picture doesn't work at all.
Okay. Fuck Gardettos.
Okay, that's pretty good. Here's the thing. I'm so happy that my wife now has
Chex Mix Bitch.
has the integrity to like know that Chex Mix is better than Gardetto's. But I bet during the first time you encountered Gardetto's, I'm also pretty confident that you're the kind of person that was like, oh, what fancy Chex Mix? That I bet there was a time that you gave it a time of day. I think we all did.
I think that we all did just to fit in. I mean, I really cared about fitting in back then, which is
You cared about status too. And if we're talking about status, Gardetto's owned that status for a little bit.
I don't think I cared about status as much as you think that I cared.
Bullshit.
No. I actually don't. I think you're putting me in with all of the people who lived in St. Louis and went to that school. Status has never been. I almost like rebelled against caring about status. Does that make sense?
In your like fish t-shirts and like baggy hippie pants and stuff.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I don't know if you know this, but when I set my mind to something, I get it. I was never in the like quote unquote popular clique.
Okay.
Now, I was friends with them, and I was friends with kind of everyone. I was friends with all of the cliques.
Yeah.
And there were a few of us who were kind of like friend nomads where we'd be invited to the like, you know, nerdy smarty pants parties, and we'd be invited to the popular parties, but we weren't like the core group. I could have broken in if I really set my mind to it, but I never did because I didn't care.
Now, let's say a crazy guy jumps into the studio right now, okay?
Shit.
He pulls out a Rambo knife and he grabs me and he goes, okay, one question.
This is so violent.
1993.
Okay.
Was your wife's family a Chex Mix family or a Gardetto's family? You get one answer. I'd probably guess Gardetto's. And would I be wrong? That's what I want to know.
Well, we were a neither family.
Okay.
So,
But you wouldn't, if this happened and the person, you wouldn't feel, you would be like, oh, I get why he said Gardetto's.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We had, you know, I was thinking about that. Now, if any kids are listening to this, let's take a moment. Okay. My mom.
Wait, take a moment for what?
To
You got to clarify. I was like, are you talking about like you didn't want the post knife imagery, or you're about to say something real
the
bad?
horrible violence is fine. I'm about to say something that children shouldn't hear if we want to keep some of the magic alive. My mom had sophisticated taste. She liked the finer things in life. Yeah. You know, all of that stuff. She made things very special. And what I was going to say is Easter baskets. So the Easter Bunny always brought us like these beautiful baskets that had really like a small amount of really nice chocolate or like a really nice, beautiful stuffed animal. Basically, it was fewer things that were higher quality versus my friends who would get an Easter basket filled with like crap candy.
Sure.
And I remember, I mean, there are a lot of things I look back on that I'm like, I kind of regret. But one of my friends had her Easter bunny would leave a jelly bean trail from her room to her Easter basket, which was hidden. And then it would be filled with like jelly beans, Starburst, you know, just
love it. The
junk.
classics.
Classic junk, which I love too.
Classic Easter
Junk. Candy.
Yeah. Not junk.
Well, just, yeah. I mean, it's junk food.
It's candy.
Okay. So anyway, I begged my mom, like, can the Easter Bunny please leave? I mean, this is past the magic had died for me. And I'm like, I'd love a jelly bean trail or whatever. And I'm sure it pained her to be like, okay, I'll do this.
Do people eat the jelly beans that are on the ground?
I sure did. I was deprived of that stuff. I wanted it. So anyway, I never fully appreciated how much care went into what she was choosing for us and the nice stuff we got and how lovely it was that we would get these like higher quality things, you know, whereas my friends' parents like just grabbed a mixed bag at Target and dumped it into the thing. My mom really took, so yeah, I understand why you guessed that.
Well, Easter's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can throw some jelly beans out to somewhere for you. The kids asked yesterday if I helped the Easter Bunny set up, and I said no. What do you say if they would ask you that question?
Oh, wow. I feel like we're getting into some interesting territory.
Maybe we'll have to circle
Let's
back
talk
on this
more
next
about
week.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.